Hey everyone, it's Nicole Spohr here today with another Stamptember video featuring memory box for Simon Says Stamp. This is their exclusive limited edition collaboration called Life's Path. It is an awesome stamp set that actually has two different tree border stamps and then two individual tree stamps that I did not use and four different sentiments. We're going to be creating two backgrounds today in two different colorways. While I had my stamps out in my MISTI, I went ahead and just stamped two background panels. You could do as many as you wanted to because it literally made it so easy to just stamp the centers twice. Then I stamped the left side twice and the right side twice, and boom, two complete backgrounds. So I am starting with two panels of 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch Nina Heavyweight 110-pound cardstock and the image from the left side of the stamp set. We're going to kind of put this in the middle of our cardstock. I am using the MISTI to help keep placement and also to be able to stamp the image more than once if I need to. For example, when you haven't stamped an image before, often it'll need more than one stamping, and the MISTI makes perfect placement here. So I'm going to stamp that with Hero Arts Intensified black ink twice, and then we're going to swap that out and stamp our second panel. Once we have that, we're simply going to clean the stamp off. We're going to grab the other border image from the set. So this is the image, on the right side. And this image is going to be stamped on the left and right of the panel. So we're going to start here, I guess, on the right. And I'm going to stamp this on my first panel, swap it out for the second panel, and stamp it again. And then we will clean the stamp, move it over to the left side of the panel, and stamp that twice as well. One little thing, so the one border kind of gums up and around, and it needed a little mask to kind of help buddy up the trees enough that it really looks like a seamless tree background rather than three border images that have been stamped. So I actually just took a little post-it tape because that seemed to be the only spot that there was going to be any overlap at all. And I went ahead and just masked off the top of that tree so that it looks like it's back behind this one. And I'm just going to reuse that little piece of post-it tape for both backgrounds. But that is the only masking I did. And really, if that's the only masking you have to do, it's not hard at all, because I didn't even break out the masking paper for this. I used whatever I could find available. Post-it note would work here, a little bit of washi tape, anything like that. Now that I have the right side, let's swap that over, clean it really good, swap it over to the left, and we're going to stamp that twice as well. Most of the work here is simply the maybe stamping of the background, although that's not that much work, is the coloring. The coloring is what took so long, but this was a really, really fun background to color. I don't always do a full-on color background like this, but I had it in my mind that I wanted to do a rainbow of trees. And when I decided I wanted to do this rainbow of trees, I thought it would be really fun to see that, how that would look in autumn colors as well. And I was especially inspired by one of the sentiments from the set that says feeling thankful. And so I thought, well, I'll do a bright and colorful one, and I'll pick one of the other sentiments. And then I will do a more autumnal feeling card and use feeling thankful, because I think that would be a beautiful kind of card to give for the hostess at Thanksgiving or another type of autumn event that you might be going to. Let's go ahead and do the bright and colorful one first. In my mind, all along, I had it in my head that I wanted to do this rainbow of trees, and we're going to do a bright colorful rainbow, everything from pink, red, orange, yellow, limey green, aqua, blue, and purple on this card. And the coloring is beautiful on its own. I will tell you, I am not going to color the whole panel on camera. I've listed the colors I'm using across the top of the screen. I will also list them on my blog post. You can find a link to that under the video here on YouTube. But it's simply repetition. There is a lot of repetition of coloring, and I didn't want to waste you guys' time with just coloring the same things over and over. So you'll see me color a great assortment of these. There's even going to be 3 trees that I did in rainbow. Each little layer I did a different color. But other than that, I'm going to cut out a lot of the coloring to save us some time today. Not to mention that I actually have 2 videos for you today featuring STAMPtember exclusives. STAMPtember is not quite long enough for all of the great companies that wanted to join forces with Simon. And so we're buddying up today and featuring both Concord and 9th and Memory Box. So this is one of 2 videos and one of 2 different projects I have. We're going to just I went kind of in a row when coloring this, because there's going to be areas that I can't probably exactly go in rainbow order for one reason or another. Mostly if the overlap, or I don't want 2 trees of the same color right next to each other. You're going to see that in the second card as well. So I just tried to color in rows. I'm doing this row, and then I'm going to kind of work my way. So I worked left to right, and then I'm going to work this next row right to left. And we're just going to continue that throughout the card panel to hopefully keep from having 2 yellow trees next to each other or 2 red trees next to each other, so that there isn't like this huge glob of one color. Glob, that's a nice word. Anyway, so I'm going to finish coloring this, and then I'm going to color in the little rainbow and maybe a few more trees, and then I'm going to show you the other colorway, the more autumnal colorway, before we move on to completing the card. Super simple designs as far as that goes. It's simply a colored panel with a little stamped and embossed sentiment and die cut box that we're going to be placing on our card somewhere, and then I'm filling in the white space with Nuvo crystal drops. You could use gemstones, sequins, leave it blank, add nothing at all. The possibilities are really endless. Here are those little rainbow trees, and I have to admit they might be my favorite. I almost think they look like rainbow popsicles, but you know, maybe that's just me. I loved how these rainbow trees turned out. I know it's really non-traditional and non-traditional coloring, but it's really, really fun. A rainbow is always a good idea. Here is the autumn colors, and we're gonna have like a deep dark maroon, an orange, a yellow, more olive green, and then a deep blue. And again, probably not a lot of blue trees out there, but I liked pulling in the blue for just something kind of fun. I mean, neither one of the backgrounds are quote unquote accurate coloring of trees. They're more of a feeling and a fun design element. And I really like how by repeating the tree images in the background, we're almost creating our own pattern paper backgrounds. That is something that I really love to try to achieve with backgrounds anyway. And I think that this is a great representation of that technique. We'll color in just a few more trees before we stamp and emboss 2 of the sentiments from Life's Path stamp set on black cardstock with a clear embossing ink and heat emboss with white embossing powder. The 4 sentiments included in this set are feeling thankful, discover delight in the journey, may your path be filled with happiness and joy, and best of luck. I think one of the other things I really appreciated about this set is that it is something different than anything else we have seen so far in STAMPtember. The sentiments are different, the designs are different. I don't think I've seen any trees yet, and it's just a very unique stamp set. No holiday. Yes, I made this kind of a fall themed card, but it's not necessarily a holiday themed stamp set. So it's going to be very universal and easy to use for lots of different occasions. I did stamp both sentiments at the same time on this black piece of cardstock, and I'm going to prep it first with a powder tool and then stamp the sentiments with clear embossing ink and heat emboss with white embossing powder. I am going to take Nested Banners dies and die cut these into boxes, rectangles basically, to add to my card. But you definitely don't have to. You can go ahead and trim them with scissors or use other kinds of dies. I'm going to be using a sentiment label die, pardon me, in a different way than normal. And that is, I'm going to be using one vertically for that more vertical sentiment. So this big sentiment label, I'm going to be die cutting, and we're just going to line it up much like you would with a horizontal strip. We're going to line it up with one side and then flip it around and die cut the other side. And I backed it with some foam adhesive squares, and I'm going to pop this one in the center of my rainbow panel. To really kind of help disguise the white space, or to pull it all together and help with that confetti bright bubblegum kind of feeling of this, I guess, I'm taking Nuvo crystal drops in a wide array of colors and filling in. So I tried to pick all of the colors that I used in markers. I tried to pick that many colors in Nuvo crystal drops. So I have everything from carnation pink to red berry, ripened pumpkin, dandelion yellow, apple green, Caribbean ocean, a new one that I just got, which is berry blue. I just purchased that one. And then crushed grape. And that berry blue is so pretty. I don't know what it is, but I was on a really big blue, I guess, theme when I made an order here a few weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I actually ordered several new colors, and all of them are some sort of shade of blue. So lots of new blue Nuvo crystal drops. I love these because it provides you a way, if you were going to use enamel dots to get a similar technique, you would have to use a lot of enamel dots. And this way you can make your own enamel dots in any size that you want. And I'm simply just going to keep filling this all in until I have the entire little white space, or most of it, covered with these little dots. And that's really it. I forgot to mention, I did trim down my background to 4 by 5 1/4 inches. So it's going to have a little thin border all the way around when I attach it to a card base. You could totally leave it if you wanted to, but by trimming it down, it eliminated a little of the white space around the trees. And so I didn't feel like I had to add quite as many enamel dots or Nuvo drops as maybe I would have if I had not trimmed this down. Also, I just left this in because this is real life. I dropped my bottle right into the wet Nuvo crystal drops, and I was so upset. So what I did was I took a craft knife and I picked up the wet drop, and I kept cleaning the craft knife as I picked it up. And it really only splattered about 2 big ones here, and I'm kind of scraping them off and then reapplying those drops. There is a small little bit of outline around them that I think you can kind of see in the finished card, but I took a white pen and just kind of colored anything that I needed to color to fix that. I wanted to leave it in because that is real life. That happened. I knew that that's something, I thought I'd get my hand in it and smear them more than anything, but I dropped a bottle. And I dropped a bottle because I didn't tighten the cap after I used it the first time, and I thought the cap was still on, and it wasn't. So lesson learned. Let's go ahead and decorate our fall themed background. And again, all of the links to the colors I'm using of these can be found down below or on my blog. So I switched up the colors just like I switched up the colors of markers I used. And I am using Autumn Red, my favorite Autumn Red color. I absolutely love this color for holiday as well. It is gorgeous. Auburn Pearl is what I'm using for the kind of orangey tone. English mustard, which is a gorgeous dark deep yellow, bottle green. So really autumn red and bottle green are my favorites for holiday. I love those. And navy blue, which ties back into the blue. So I didn't have quite as many here, but I didn't use quite as many different colors for the autumn background. But same basic concept. We're going to fill in the entire background with these Nuvo crystal drops. We're going to pop this panel onto a white top fold card base. I will tell you, I learned my lesson. I let both backgrounds set and dry. I came back later, popped them down onto the card bases after my drops had solidified and I didn't have to worry about smearing them across my card. But other than that, you guys, that is it. The sentiment is popped up. I popped it up first because there's no sense in putting Nuvo crystal drops down back behind where that's going to go, and I'm just going to fill in all of that white space. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for these two All Over Trees backgrounds cards featuring the Simon Says Stamp and Memory Box STAMPtember 2020 stamp set called Life's Path. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring some STAMPtember products that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a new card making video. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I appreciate you all so much. Thanks for sticking with me through STAMPtember, and we'll see you next time.